With the named islands of the East Blue being covered previously, we'll focus on its unnamed islands in this video, completely going through every single island in the East Blue, starting with islands that have named locations in a certain section of the East Blue at a little port town where a young boy destined to be the greatest swordsman in history was born and raised. We have Shimotsuki Village on the first unnamed island in One Piece, but from here on out, I name it Pin Island in honor of the great Pin Zoro. May he rest in peace. By the way, since none of the islands on this list have any names, I'll be naming them myself. Moving on to the 16th branch, the second marine base introduced in the East. While their marines played a significant role in Arlong Park, the island it's on only had one appearance, but an important one nonetheless, as the birthplace of Luffy's first bounty in the story. The 77th branch, on the other hand, was only mentioned, and with their commander along with his entire crew sinking to the bottom of the ocean, it'll probably never show up in the story. Boycott Kingdom, ravaged by a war 20 years ago, was the birthplace of Nami. Though it's barely appeared in the story, it's spawned countless theories among readers for its many unusual aspects, and might prove to be more relevant in the story going forward, but that's yet to be substantiated in any way. The last three islands in this category were not revealed in the story, but through the Viver cards, so it's no surprise if you don't recognize them. Satsuruzo Kingdom, the homeland of our boy Kobe, and where he accidentally boarded Alvida's ship. But I sometimes wonder if Kobe just suddenly disappeared. Didn't he have any friends or family he just left behind? With how carefree he acts about the whole situation, he must have had a pretty lonely life. Nagagutsu Kingdom, being a relatively small nation, played a minor role in the most recent reverie, yet it's still one of the more relevant kingdoms in the story, with it being home to the headquarters of the most high-end fashion brand in the world of One Piece, Nyornyo Nyarmani. Frost Kingdom, while nothing is known about the island or country itself, with the queen of this nation appearing in the reverie, it has to be one of the more powerful kingdoms in the world, as only rulers of 50 nations are allowed to attend. Going through islands with no names or locations is going to be more difficult, so let's just set some ground rules. First, let us start with the definition of an island. A piece of land surrounded by water, with a slightly looser definition being applied if necessary. Second, any location seen or mentioned can be inferred to be on an island with how the world of One Piece is built. Third, it can't be reasonably inferred to be an island already shown in the story, as islands can appear multiple times and not be explicitly mentioned by their name. With that laid out, let's go over every single island left in the East Blue. At the start of Buggy's cover story, we can see an island on the side, and with its close proximity to Orangetown, it would be reasonable to assume it's part of the Organ Islands. We can also assume the same of Buggy's next destination, home to a giant man-eating bird with the manners of a human. The world is a really strange place, I guess. The next island, while being closer to a rock, is still technically an island, showing off Usopp's remarkable sniping skills and introducing the first and greatest pair of multi-arc Straw Hat companions, Johnny and Yosaku. Don Krieg, after abandoning the Grand Line and before arriving at Baratie, docked his ship on this island, making it a legendary island capable of housing the great Don Krieg. Having to comb through every single chapter set in the East Blue to find islands not listed on the wiki, this location being a prime example of the fruits of my labor, for one panel we see Zoro bounty hunting on an island hereby dubbed Hunter's Island. The setting of Sanji's first backstory might be the most relevant island on this list when it comes to impact on the story, but with it being a small uninhabited island, it's no wonder why it's been left unnamed. For the first island in this video shown in the manga, after the East Blue saga, we have the world's reaction to the start of Marineford and people giving their thoughts on the upcoming war. For the only island not entirely confirmed to be on the East Blue, we have the last island Ginny was stationed at as a commander of the Revolutionary Army, and with her being in charge of the East Army, it's highly likely this is an island in the East Blue. With a total of 15 islands covered in this video, only 4 on this list have had straw hats on them, 5 were not shown or mentioned in the East Blue saga, and with about 3.5 chapters spent on the unnamed islands of the East, putting the total time at over 85 chapters and the total island count at 27. That's about everything I could find, but I still might miss a few along the way, so if you want to join me on my journey to cover every single island in One Piece, you're welcome to point out any island you think I missed.